Every prepper video you've ever watched has lied to you. Not maliciously. They just don't know what they're talking about. They tell you to stockpile food, buy gold, invest in expensive survival gear. Here's what British Armed Forces survival doctrine actually teaches. Food is fourth on the priority list. Not first, fourth. Gold is worthless. You can't drink it. You can't burn it. You can't dress a wound with it. The military hierarchy is warmth, water, sanitation, then calories. That order rewrites everything you should be grabbing. One item on this list costs under 50 pence and makes 4,000 litres of water safe to drink. Another one is taught in British Army battlefield first aid. It's sitting in your kitchen drawer right now. 7 items from ASDA, combined cost under 20 quid, covering every survival priority the military teaches, and most people will walk straight past every single one of them during a panic buy. That's your advantage. Let's talk about why the clock is already ticking. The national grid runs at 50 Hz. That's the heartbeat. When frequency drops below 47.5 Hz, automatic disconnection cascades begin. There is no large-scale battery backup for this country. The grid's stored energy is measured in minutes, not hours, minutes. Black start, the process of restarting from a dead grid, has never been tested at full national scale. Think about that. The plan to restart has never actually been proven to work. Within 24 to 48 hours of grid failure, your taps stop running. The entire mains water system depends on electric pumps. No electricity, no water pressure, no water. Within 72 hours, supermarket shelves are stripped bare. That's under normal panic. The beast from the east cleared bread and milk in 48 hours. COVID proved that panic buying compresses 3 days of stock into 3 hours. So your window to acquire what actually matters is vanishingly small, and almost everyone wastes it, grabbing the wrong things. You're not going to make that mistake. Item 1. Cling film. Yes, cling film. Put down whatever preconceptions you've got, and listen. British Army battlefield first aid teaches cling film as the primary emergency, burns dressing and wound cover. This isn't folk medicine. This is military medical doctrine, drilled into every combat medic in the forces. Here's why it works. The inside of a roll of cling film is sterile. It hasn't been touched by hands, exposed to air, or contaminated by anything. You peel it off and apply it directly to a burn or open wound. It's non-adherent, meaning it doesn't stick to damaged tissue the way cotton gauze does. It's transparent, so you can monitor a wound without removing the dressing. And it creates an airtight seal that reduces both infection risk and pain on burns by protecting exposed nerve endings from air contact. When NHS services are overwhelmed, and they will be overwhelmed because hospitals run on the same grid you do, cling film becomes a frontline medical supply, not a kitchen accessory, a medical supply. The civilian mistake here is reaching for plasters and bandages. Both are functionally useless on a serious burn. A plaster covers a square centimetre. A bandage adheres to burned skin and causes secondary tissue damage on removal. Cling film outperforms both clinically. And here's the asymmetric advantage. Nobody is panic buying cling film. The medical aisle gets stripped. The baking aisle stays full, but it doesn't stop at wound care. Without refrigeration, cling film gives you airtight food preservation. It seals windows and doors for thermal insulation, trapping heat in a single room when you're trying to keep one space survivable. One item, 3 critical functions: medical, preservation, insulation, cost. Under £2, running total, under £2. I've put together a complete guide on crisis preparation that covers everything you need to know, and I've linked it in the first line of the description. Item 2. Table salt. 65 pence for a 1 kilo bag. The word salary comes from the Roman salt allowance. Salt has been a stored value commodity for millennia. There's a reason for that. It's one of the most powerful preservation chemicals on Earth, and it's sitting on a supermarket shelf for less than the price of a chocolate bar. Here's what nobody thinks about during a grid collapse. Every household with a full freezer faces total spoilage within 24 to 48 hours. All that meat, all that fish, all those batch-cooked meals, rotting. The civilian response is to eat as much as possible before it goes off. The trained response is to preserve it. Dry curing with salt is the preservation method that sustained armies and navies for centuries before refrigeration existed. You pack meat or fish in salt, it draws out moisture. Bacteria can't survive in a high salt environment. The food lasts weeks, months if done properly. One 65 pence bag of salt converts a rotting liability into a preserved asset. But salt does more than preserve food. It's a critical component of oral rehydration solution. If you're losing fluids through illness, exertion, or heat, salt and clean water keep you alive when medical intervention isn't available. It works as a cleaning abrasive for surfaces and cookware when detergent runs out. And it's a de-icing agent for steps and paths in winter when a broken ankle becomes a life-threatening injury because nobody's coming to help you. The civilian mistake is panic buying tinned food while ignoring the one item that saves the fresh food already sitting in your kitchen. The tinned food costs 10 times more per calorie and runs out. Salt doesn't run out, it doesn't expire, it doesn't spoil, and at 65 pence it's the highest return on investment in any supermarket. Cost 65 pence, running total, under £3, item 3. Cheap vodka. This is going to sound like a joke. It isn't. ASDA own brand vodka at 37.5% ABV is a disinfectant, antiseptic, solvent, fire accelerant, anesthetic, and morale item, all in one bottle, under £10. Alcohol above roughly 60% concentration works as an effective wound and surface disinfectant. Vodka, straight from the bottle, isn't concentrated enough for that. But here's what they teach you. You can concentrate it by freezing out the water. Alcohol freezes at a much lower temperature than water. Put the bottle outside in winter or in the coldest space you've got. The water freezes first. Pour off the liquid that remains. You've just increased the alcohol concentration significantly. Now you've got a functional disinfectant from a supermarket shelf. But the real value of vodka in a collapse scenario is barter. Documented evidence from the Balkans conflicts and Soviet-era shortages shows the same pattern every single time. Alcohol consistently became the single highest value barter commodity. Not food, not medicine. Alcohol. It often exceeded the trade value of food itself. The reason is simple. Stress, fear, cold, and uncertainty make alcohol one of the most psychologically demanded items in any crisis. That demand makes it currency, indefinite shelf life, multi-purpose utility, barter dominance. The civilian mistake is treating alcohol as a luxury. The military treats it as a multi-role consumable. There's a reason field rations in multiple armed forces have historically included alcohol or tobacco. It isn't indulgence, it's operational psychology. Cost, under £10, running total, under £13, item 4. Bleach. Pay attention to this one. This is the item I mentioned at the start. Under 50 pence. 4,000 litres of safe drinking water. This is arguably the single most critical purchase on this entire list. Unscented sodium hypochlorite at 3 to 5% concentration. That's what you need. 2 drops per litre of water. Let it stand for 30 minutes. That's the same chemical purification method military water purification units use when mechanical filtration is unavailable. Same chemistry, same dosage, same result, for 50 pence. But here is where civilians get killed. The critical detail everyone misses. It must be unscented. It must be thin, not thickened. It must be free of added detergents or surfactants. Thickened bleach is useless. Lemon-scented bleach is useless. Bleach with added cleaning agents is toxic when used for water purification. You need the cheapest, thinnest, most basic bottle on the shelf, the one nobody reaches for because it doesn't smell nice. Let's do the maths. One standard bottle contains enough sodium hypochlorite to treat approximately 4,000 litres of water. The NHS recommends 2 litres of drinking water per person per day. For a family of 4, that's 8 litres a day. One 50-pence bottle gives you 500 days of safe drinking water, 500 days for 50 pence. Now think about what everyone else is doing. They're fighting over bottled water. They're paying £2 per 2-litre bottle. To match the purification capacity of this single 50-pence bottle of bleach, you'd need to buy 2,000 bottles of water at £2 each. That's £4,000 versus 50 pence. The maths doesn't lie. Mains water stops within 24 to 48 hours in most areas after grid loss. Every electric pump in the system goes silent. But water doesn't disappear. It's in rivers, streams, ponds, rainwater collection, even swimming pools and hot tubs. The problem isn't finding water, it's making it safe to drink. This 50-pence bottle solves that problem for over a year. Cost, under 50 pence. Running total, under £14. Item 5, Paracetamol, 30 pence for a 16-pack. The cheapest item on this list, and in a grid collapse, one of the most desperately needed. British military medical kits prioritise paracetamol and ibuprofen as frontline analgesics. Not opioids, not specialist medications. Paracetamol. It manages pain. It reduces fever. It's safe across all age groups at correct dosage. It's the most universally useful medication available without prescription. Legal maximum purchase is 2 packs per transaction. There's no restriction on separate visits. Here's what people don't think about. In a grid collapse, professional medical care vanishes almost immediately. Hospitals run on generators. Generators run on diesel. Diesel deliveries depend on a functioning fuel supply chain. That chain breaks within days. GP surgeries close. Pharmacies lock their doors. Electronic prescription systems go dark. You're on your own medically. And the most common medical needs in a crisis aren't dramatic injuries. They're headaches from stress and dehydration, fevers from exposure and infection, body pain from physical exertion you're not conditioned for. Paracetamol manages all 3. During the siege of Sarajevo, a single strip of painkillers traded for a day's food. That's not folklore. That's documented barter economy. The item civilians consider the most basic, the most mundane, becomes one of the most valuable precisely because everyone assumed they could always get it. When they can't, its value explodes. The civilian mistake is assuming pharmacies will remain accessible. They won't. They depend on the same grid, the same supply chain, the same electronic systems as everything else. 30 pence now, priceless later. Cost, 30 pence. Running total, under £14 item 6. Firelighters and matches under £2 each, £4 combined. And without them, you face a problem most people haven't even considered. Fire is the second survival priority after shelter in British military doctrine. Not food, not water, fire. Because fire gives you warmth, cooking, water boiling, light, and psychological stability. It handles 5 survival functions simultaneously. Without mains gas or electricity, fire is the only reliable heat source available to a civilian household. Here's what nobody's planning for. In a winter grid collapse, indoor temperatures in an unheated, uninsulated British home drop below survivable levels within 48 to 72 hours. Most homes in this country were not built for passive thermal survival. They were built assuming a permanent gas and electricity supply. Remove that supply in January and you're looking at indoor temperatures approaching single figures within 2 days. Below 5 degrees Celsius, hypothermia risk becomes real, especially for children and elderly people. The civilian mistake is assuming the gas hob will still work. It might, briefly, but gas pressure depends on infrastructure that degrades without electricity. Compressor stations need power, monitoring systems need power. The gas network isn't as resilient as people assume. And even if your hob works for a day or two, it won't heat a room. It wasn't designed to. Matches and firelighters are lightweight. They store indefinitely when kept dry, and they're almost impossible to improvise reliably. Rubbing 2 sticks together is a fantasy. Trying to start a fire without proper ignition material wastes hours and calories you can't afford. 2 items, £4 combined, and they unlock the single most important survival capability after clean water. Cost: under £4, running total, under £18. Item 7. Heavy-duty bin bags. This is the one everyone walks past. Under £3 for a roll. And military field training treats black plastic bags as one of the most versatile pieces of survival equipment you can carry. Waterproof poncho, cut a hole for your head. You've got rain protection that weighs nothing. Emergency sleeping bag liner. Climb inside one and your body heat reflects back. The trapped air layer provides genuine insulation. Water collection vessel. Line any container with a bin bag and you've got a clean, waterproof receptacle for rainwater. Ground sheet. Put one under you when sleeping on a cold floor and you eliminate conductive heat loss to the ground. Window seal. Tape bin bags over broken or drafty windows for thermal insulation. Solar still component. In warmer conditions, you can build an improvised water purification still using bin bags and sunlight. But here's the function that matters most: sanitation. Sewage pumping stations fail within hours of grid loss. Every toilet in every home connected to the mains sewer system stops working. Not days later, hours later. The military-taught method of waste containment is a lined bucket. You line a bucket with a heavy-duty bin bag, you use it, you seal the bag, you dispose of it away from your living and water collection areas. That's how you prevent the thing that kills more people in field conditions than starvation: disease from poor sanitation. During extended field operations, Royal Marines training emphasizes sanitation discipline above almost everything else. It's not glamorous. Nobody talks about it. But cholera, dysentery, and bacterial infection from human waste have killed more people in every extended crisis than lack of food ever has. A £3 roll of bin bags is your entire household sanitation system. The civilian mistake is not having a plan for this at all. Everyone thinks about food. Everyone thinks about water. Nobody thinks about what happens when you flush the toilet and nothing happens. Cost: under £3. Running total: under £20. 7 items: under £20. covering water purification, wound care, food preservation, fire, pain management, sanitation, and barter currency. Every single survival priority the military teaches, not from a specialist survival shop, not from an expensive online retailer, from ASDA, right now, on shelves that most people will walk straight past while they fight over pasta and bottled water. If you want to go deeper on preparing for what's coming, I've written up everything I know and linked it in the description. The question is simple. When the lights go out, are you the person who prepared or the person who wished they had?